Namaste. Thank you for joining me today on this 9th day of Navratri to listen to the stories of Devi. Today I will be telling you stories of the Navadurgas. There are many forms of Devi. Durga is manifested in so many ways, but 9 of them are prayed to during Navratri. Each day, one of them. Okay, so the story of these Navadurgas is what I'll be telling. The Navadurgas are Shailaputri, Bhramacharini, Chandraganta, Kushmanda, Skandamata, Katyayini, Kalaratri, Mahagauri, and Siddhadatri. Okay. So today I will tell the stories of Shailaputri, Bhramacharini, and Chandraganta. So these were the times when Raja Daksha was there. Raja Daksha had many daughters, beautiful daughters. They were all married to well-known personalities of those days, famous people, famous gurus, Dharma himself, Chandra himself, and such. But one of his daughters, she was married to Lord Shiva. Now, Raja Daksha did not like Shiva at all, and she had got married to him against her father's wishes. Why Daksha did not like him was because he did not care about looking good. He did not care about all the beautiful things in the world. He did not care about money. He did not care about fame. He did not care about name. All he cared about was being good, thinking about the world, about how to help people or the creatures of the world, how to be good, what can we do to change this place into become a better place, and such. And on top of all that, he used to dress up with very badly. He wore a tiger skin. He wrapped himself in a tiger skin, not in silks. And he had a snake around his neck. And he was covered with ash all over him. And he had the crescent moon in his head. Tied up his hair on top, matted hair, and a moon there. And he had water, the river Ganga, flowing down. That's how he looked. He walked bare feet with big anklets. It felt as though he just did not care about it looking good at all. And all his followers were also like him. Covered with ashes. They were bhutas, pretas, that is spirits and ghosts, is a loose translation. And people who were just dressed in rags. Some had skull necklaces on them. And some who would not eat for days and days. He had no money or any such thing to buy jewelry for his wife. He did not wear any jewelry. He didn't give anything like that to his wife also. According to Daksha, he did not take care of his daughter well. So he did not like Shiva. But Dakshayani, she loved her husband. And she was loved by her husband, by Shiva. So she was absolutely happy and very comfortable where she lived. Now, it so happened that Raja Daksha had a yagna. And in that yagna is a sacrifice, a fire ceremony. And in that he had invited many guests from all over the world, all over the universe. The gods and all had come. All his sons-in-law had come. All his daughters were there. They had all been invited. Only one person was not invited. Two people. One was Shiva and one was his daughter Dakshayani. He had not invited that couple. Now, Dakshayani comes to know that there is this big celebration going on in her father's house. And she wanted to go there. Naturally, we want to go to dad's home when there is a celebration. She wanted to go there. And Shiva tells her, don't, Dakshayani, don't. If you go there, you will be insulted. If you have not been invited. He does not say anything bad about Daksha or anything, but he said, you have not been invited. Don't. Dakshayani says, why would I need an invitation from my father? Any daughter needs an invitation to go to her father's house? No, I am going, you also should come. Shiva says, no, this time you go and come. This time you go and come. And she goes. And when she goes, she sees everything was so decorated. The whole place was decorated and all these Rajas and all were sitting. All her sisters were there. She was very happy to see her sisters. And she saw all her brothers-in-law. She was happy to see her brothers-in-law, but a little, why was I not invited, kind of a feeling she had. Okay. Now, but she doesn't worry about it. She helps her mom and sits with her sisters and is talking. But every time she notices, her father keeps on insulting Shiva. He talks about Shiva in very bad ways. And Dakshayani feels bad. And she tells her father to stop. Papa, please don't tell anything like that about my dad, about my husband. Don't tell anything about like that about my husband. He's very nice. He takes care of me very well. He said, no. And he keeps on insulting. And finally, after telling her mother to, can you please tell my father to stop? After telling all her sisters, after talking to everyone, when she sees that he never stops, she finally says, oh, I am unable to take this. She's very frustrated, very angry, very sad and depressed. And she says, if I cannot show you how good my husband is, if I cannot explain to you or convince you that Shiva is actually great, then there is really no point in my living. And she jumps into the sacrificial flames, into the flames that of the yagna. And Shiva comes to know of this. And he gets so angry and he comes. When he comes there, he has a big fight and he defeats Daksha. And there are many stories about that also. And this Dakshayani, when she has fallen into the sacrificial fire, she is called Sati. Okay. Now, later on, she is born again. This time, she is born in the palace of Himavat, the king of the Himalayas. So she is also called Hemavati. She is also called Parvati because in Sanskrita, Parvataha is mountain. She is the daughter of the mountains, Parvati. And she is also called Shailaputri. Shaila is stone or rock. Okay, daughter of the rocky places. So she is Shailaputri. So we pray to Shailaputri, Devi Shailaputri on day 1 of Navratri. Now, Shailaputri, as she is growing up, is very, very beautiful. One day, Narad Muni comes. Narad Muni is the son of Brahma. Narad Muni comes. Narayana, Narayana, he says, and he comes. He has been actually sent by the gods. Okay? Because it is required that Shiva and Parvati get married. After Sati had died, Shiva had been devastated. He was very, very sad, heartbroken, and he had never married again. And he had just got into meditation, that's all. But it was essential that he gets married to Parvati because they have to have a child who would bring upon the death of some asuras. Okay, so Narad Muni comes and tells Parvati that she was Sati in the past life, and if she wants to marry the same husband who she so loved, then she should do penance. Okay, she should do a lot of tapas. Parvati already has fallen in love with Shiva even before. She knows that she is Sati. She likes Shiva because she's heard a lot about him. And she thinks, okay, maybe I will do penance. After all, he is a yogi, so let me also be a yogini. And she starts doing tapas. And in that tapas, first she just eats all the berries and that's all. After that, only the leaves that have fallen, she eats only those, till no Shiva. Then she takes only water. Then she leaves the water. She leaves the fallen leaves. Nothing she takes. Like that for days and days and days. She is doing tapas. And because she stops taking even those leaves, she is called Aparna. She is known as Aparna. Parna meaning leaf in Sanskritam. Aparna, the one who doesn't even eat leaves. Then, because she is in this tapasvi state, she is called Bhramacharini. That is her form. Okay, that is the form in which we pray to her on day 2. She carries a kamandalu with her. And she has a japmala, that is a bead of rosary beads. And that's how she is seen on day 2. Now, because she did so much penance, finally Shiva comes. Finally Shiva comes. And when he comes, he tries to tell her not to marry Shiva. He comes in a guise of someone else, of a nice looking person. And he tells her, what are you doing here? And she says that she's doing penance because she wants to marry Shiva. And he said, that Shiva? That fellow who wears this tiger skin and who has snake around him, and he has the moon, and he looks like a beggar, all covered with ashes, and just walking around with those hordes and hordes of bhutas and pretas. Why you want to marry someone like him? You're such a beautiful person. She says, no, I want to marry him. Then that man, who is actually Shiva, heaps insults on Shiva. And finally, our Bhramacharini gets really, really upset and says, you are not leaving, I am going. At that point, that man changes back into his original form of Shiva and he says, I was just testing you. It was the final test. Yes, I am will marry you. And she's so happy. And she says, you have to go and ask my father for my hand. Now, it's time for them to get married. And the Shiva and all his followers are going to come to Himavat's palace for the wedding. Now, Raja Himavat is very happy that she's marrying Shiva. So is her mother Mena, because Rani Mena is so happy that finally her daughter has got what she wants. And she's waiting. She's dressed up herself, her daughter. She's made her daughter look beautiful. Okay, with the most beautiful sari. She's tiny, with long hair and beautiful jewelry on her, and she has a tiny little crown on her, and on the bashinga put on her forehead with beautiful bracelets, lovely earrings, and all jewelry. She is walking and she's all dressed and ready. At that time, Shiva is coming, and Shiva, he has also dressed up. But how has he dressed up? He has dressed up in the way he thinks looks good. That is, even more ash on his body. A brand new tiger skin tied around his waist. His snake has also been now nicely cleaned, and it's a shiny, shiny snake, and it is really with his hood completely up. The moon is nice and bright on his forehead. Ganga is nicely flowing. And he's got ash on his face also. And his followers, all of them have nicely put fresh ash on their bodies. And their skin, their cheeks are all sunken, because many of them do fasts for days and days and days and end. And they are walking with skull staffs and skull necklaces, and they are looking scary. People in the city don't see such people. Now, thousands of them are coming. All of them are so excited, and they're dancing with joy, because they are going in the barat. Right? They are going with the bridegroom. So they all have to dance around on donkeys, on goats, on bulls. And Nandi, he is also all dressed up. All the people of the city see him, and Mena Rani looks at him, and all the women folk look at him, and they just faint in horror. So scary sight. Just say scary sight. Now, when Parvati sees this, she changes herself, and she also looks in this very, very ashy body, sunken cheeks, with a skull in or staff, and she comes with a moon on her head. She comes out. And the moon-like crescent, it is shaped like a bell, okay, on her hair. She comes out dressed just like Shiva, and she walks to him. That form is called Chandraganta. We know her as Chandraganta because it is the moon-shaped bell which is on her, or the bell-shaped moon which is on her hair. And she's looking ferocious. She comes to Shiva and says, "Please don't scare everyone. Can you please dress up like normal people so we can have a normal wedding?" And he does so. He dresses up handsomely. And then everyone is so happy. All his people also dress up very nicely. So Shiva makes sure that everyone looks normal, well dressed with nice dhotis and nice jewelry and everything, and they come and they have a nice wedding. Okay, so this is the story of how Parvati has her first three names. Okay, Shailaputri, the daughter of the mountains, Brahmacharini, the one who did tapas for her husband, and Chandraganta, the one who came in a ferocious self to match her husband, future husband, to tell him to dress up nicely so that they can get married. Okay, so that is the story of the first of the three Navadurgas. And with that, I will end today's session, and tomorrow we will tell you the rest of them. Namaste.